So just like an athlete has to get up right before a game and figure out a way how to psych themselves out to face the opponent, you also need to figure out a way to psych yourself out when you face the opponent on a daily basis, and not only yourself, but also do with your teammate, because as an entrepreneur, you also got a team that you're driving. So today in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can drive you, what drives you, and what drives the people on your team. And prior to me getting into the video, if you got any questions, thoughts, comment below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to click on the subscribe button so you can watch other videos and join the notification squad so the videos come out to you the moment it comes out. So let's get right into it. I've done a couple other videos on this topic that I suggest you watch as well. One of them is the evolution of your why, where I talk about how a person goes through, being in the survival mode. All you want to do is pay your bills so you can find a place to live. Then status, you want to have a nice car. Then freedom, you want to make a lot of money. You have millions so you can be free to make the decisions you want to make. Then purpose, something bigger, right? I'm not talking about that today, but I suggest you watch it. The other one is how to get the best out of your sales force, and that's something with your salespeople and what you're doing with them. Today's going to be getting a little bit deeper into what drives human beings. What drives you? What drives me? A couple books that were written about this. Daniel Pink wrote about this in a book called Drive, where he says autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And you can study a little bit more about what Tony Robbins says with this. 6 things that make people tick: certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. My suggestion, watch these 2 videos and study these 2 books. But having said that, let me get right into 4 areas that I'm going to talk about that drives people. Under each of these 4 areas, I have different bullet points. Total is going to end up being around 20 of them. Some of them are going to be more, some of them are going to be less. But when you sit yourself, I'm going to give you a PDF at the end. I want you to score it out of these 20 and ask yourself, this really drives me. I really could care less about this. You know what? This really makes me think. Is this really me? And then ask your loved ones, ask your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, people that work closely with you, and say, score me here real quick and tell me which one you think it is. Someone that knows you, not critical, not going to be fully positive and everything's perfect with you. They're just going to tell you, look, this is what typically drives you. I just want you to know. Great, no problem. You kind of get an idea to be self-aware. Then take the same scorecard and do with the people that you work with on a daily basis. And you know what happens? If you get to a point that you don't have an answer for it, this is a time where you got to have a sit down and figure out what drives them so you can get the best out of your team. So let's get into it. Number 1, advancement. There's a lot of people that are simply driven by advancing, which means what? I want to hit my next promotion. So if you sit down with one of your teammates and someone tells you, I just want to hit my next promotion, great. You now have the motivation. Now you need to give them the direction. Here's the next 3 things you need to do to hit your next promotion. This is what you need to change about your schedule. This is what needs to happen with the way you're working right now. The amount of calls you're making, the amount of activity you're doing is not going to get you to your next promotion. I need you to read these 5 books. I need you to go out there and do this. Then you'll get your next promotion. Perfect. God, I'm going to go work on it, because they're driven by what's next. Another one is completing a task. My dad is a task-driven person. If he starts something, he has to finish it. So if you know someone's driven by that, you break it down. So how far along are you with your task? What is left? What are you going to do? What are your dates? What are the things that you're going to plan on hitting this part? And that leads me into point number 3, which is meeting a deadline. There are people that are driven by deadlines. It's due by the 31st. I'm going to hit it by the 31st. We have a person that works here. Mara and I kid about this. This guy is going to give you the product by the deadline, but he works till the last second to get you the deadline. But here's the key. He's going to give it to you by the deadline. Even if it means he's working Sunday throughout the night, he gets no sleep because it's due Monday morning, 8 o'clock, he'll get it to you. He's driven by a deadline. So if you know that person is driven by a deadline, guess what? Give him more deadlines. Maybe move the deadline sooner. Instead of giving him till the 31st, give him till the 20th or the 15th. Change the deadline. You can change the deadline because you know they're going to get it done. Number 4, reaching a milestone as a team. There are people that say, look, what is the next thing we need to do as a company? What is the next thing we need to do as a team? I want to go do that. Everybody on a team is not necessarily going to be, I want to be able to be the MVP, the biggest scorer, I need all the attention. There are people that say, look, I want to help the team get to the next level, but they want to see a company and a team advance. There are people that work out of a company and they get bored out of their mind because the numbers are not growing and they're not advancing, and you lose those people because they're driven by reaching the next milestone as a company. So what is the next thing we're reaching for? So then you got to ask yourself, Am I constantly giving the team our next milestone as a company? If I'm not, then I'm not getting the best of the people here that are driven by the next milestone. Let's talk about the next one. This next one I have out as selfish, but it's not necessarily selfish. It's not a, there are certain words that, culturally we see as a negative, like cult. We are very uncomfortable with the word cult, but we're very comfortable with the word culture, right? We're very comfortable using certain words. Selfish, there's a lot of great performers who do very well for teams who are very selfish. In sports, there's people that are selfish who do very, very well, and they help teams win championships. But this is not the selfish you're thinking where it's kind of like, it's mine, it has to be all mine. No, this is a person that says, hey, I like nice things. I want a Louis Vuitton purse. I'm not driven by a Louis Vuitton purse, but there are people that are. I want a $6,000 suit. I want to be able to have 20 different watches in my closet. Great. I want to be able to have the nice cars. I like the nice cars. I want to be able to have this. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes if you speak this language to somebody that's not driven by lifestyle, you cannot drive that person. It's not everybody. Next, recognition. There are people that are driven by recognition. So how do you drive people that are driven by recognition? You taste it. You kind of get a feel. I gave him a little bit of recognition. He blew up. Man, he wants to get more. I gave her a little bit. She's all lit up, but I gave it to this person. This guy wasn't driven by this. But then I talked to this guy about what his life could look like, what kind of a house he wants, what kind of a car he wants, what he wants to do for his family and the kind of places he wants to live. He was lit up because that guy's driven by lifestyle. And then you have security. There are people that selfishly, they want to be secure. There are people that marry others because they feel safe and secure when they marry this person. Security is also a selfish feature. By the way, selfish quality, again, it's not a bad thing. I want to live, many of you live in a city and a country because you feel safer there. That's not a bad quality, but there are people that are driven by this. You need to be able to speak that language with them. Next, madness. This is my favorite category because this is the part where you don't see a lot in these books here. A lot of books out there all about positive motivation, all this other stuff. They don't really get into the madness side of performers. And, for myself, having nearly 6,000 salespeople in our company, I see the madness all over the place. And I kind of go through it with you so you kind of get and understand which one it is. Number 8, there are people who do very well with having an opposition. Very well. They want an opposition. They want an enemy. They want somebody that they got to take out because they're driven by that. There are others that are like, I don't really care about that. But there are those that are driven by opposition. So if you have that, this is when you hear coaches where they go out there and say, hey, today, before we go and play this game, football game, I want you to hear what Stephen A. Smith said about you. And they put it up. I want you to see the game, what happened last year when they faced these guys. They look what they did. I want you to see what happened over here and what they say about us in the paper. Opposition. And the team's like, oh my gosh, wait till I pop you when you come down the lane. That's opposition. That works in certain environments, in certain individuals. Number 9, competition. If there's people that are driven by competition, the way you figure this out is by creating an environment where there's competition to be done. Okay, not combative, but competition to be done. Leaders bulletin, data, brackets, this office going against this person. And then you see, oh my goodness, when this person was facing this person, all of a sudden I saw a side of performance I've never seen her before. Man, she is so competitive. He is so competitive. You then bring out the best out of her or him by knowing how competitive that person is. Number 10, there are people, madness, that are driven by control. I want to control my space. I want to control what I'm doing next. I want to perform so much that every decision I make in my life, I control. So what can I do to have that control? So as you're driving the person you're leading, you are telling them what they can do to put themselves in a position to be fully in control of what they're doing. That's what they like. But if you don't speak that language to them, you're not going to be able to drive them. That could be you, by the way, watching this. Number 11, power and fame. There's a lot of performers that are driven by power and fame. Many of them. There's a lot of people that are driven by, hey, I want to go make my money because after making my money, I want to go run for governor. I want to go run for office. I want to go run for this because I want to be able to have the power, the influence to be on the cover of Time magazine and make some big decisions. And I want to be famous. Perfect. Now, somebody might say, and this is what some sales leaders do that is absolutely pathetic. And they'll say, well, it's not a noble thing to, fame and all this stuff. No, let me just get the best out of you. If that's what drives you, let's get it. What do you want to do? And now at the same time, while you're doing all this stuff, you're teaching, hopefully, the right values and the right principles, that you're not creating somebody that's out of this world, that, you know, doesn't listen to anybody and thinks they know everything, and you can't lead them and direct them and do anything with them. You're not trying to create a narcissistic psycho, although they do well as well in business. You do want to tame that a little bit. You can't fully do it. You want to teach those right values and principles, but at the same time, hey, I don't mind somebody that's driven by that. Here's number 12. You heard Barbara Corcoran say it from Shark Tank. Proving others wrong. I don't know if you saw the interview with Barbara and I when she said, my boyfriend at the time told me, you will never succeed without me. She left, built a company, sold it for $66 million. And in the interview, this is what she says. She says, honestly, this is probably not healthy. I should have probably seen a shrink about it. But I told him, wait till you see what I'm going to do to you. And boom, now she's on Shark Tank. That boyfriend has to watch her on Shark Tank every day. Someone's going to say, wasn't that your ex? Wasn't that your ex? Wasn't that your ex? Yes. You better believe she thought about that. And that's madness. Number 13, the need to avoid embarrassment. Let me explain what I mean by this need to avoid embarrassment. You see, a person who is about to give a talk to a group of people, sometimes the need, I do not want to be embarrassed. I'm going to have so much anxiety when I perform. They over-prepare themselves into delivering that talk. You have somebody that's expected to perform and hit a certain number. They are so worried about the next board meeting of them not reaching their numbers because they don't want to be embarrassed amongst their peers, that they're going to go above and beyond and work certain days to make sure they reach that milestone. So if you don't know that about the individual, you're not going to get the best out of him. Now somebody's going to, again, they're going to watch us and say, how bad is that to embarrass and all this other stuff? Listen, everybody woke up this morning putting clothes on because you don't want to be embarrassed. So let's not act like, you know, this is such a out of the ordinary topic. It's just the truth, and this is why I put it in the madness category. 14, mastery. I want to be a master at what I do. A long time ago when I got started in this business, I told myself, Pat, you've never mastered anything. Never. I was a bodybuilder, but I never mastered it. I never won Mr. Universe or Mr. Olympia. You know, I was into all these other things with stocks and bonds and all these things, but I didn't master it. I was on to every other sports that I was doing, never mastered it. I said, when I get into the insurance space and building the sales teams, I want to master this space. I want to be a master in this space. It takes around 15 to 20 years to do it, by the way, right? Not everybody's driven by that. A few are. This is why you say, I am going to do this so many times until I master the game of business and entrepreneurship. I'm going to do this so much. I'm going to immerse myself so much until I master this. You may not be driven by that, but a few people are, and that still meets the category of madness. Because if you want to be a master of anything, if masters publicly told you their schedules, you would be frightened of them. You wouldn't be excited. It wouldn't be a motivational video. It wouldn't be where some people, oh my gosh, I also want to be a master. It would scare the crap out of 99.99% of people if they knew what it really took to become a master. Because it's absolutely crazy and insanity the way they perform, work, hours, focus, diligence, you know, while the other guy's doing this and he thinks, oh, I worked so hard today. He's just getting started. The master is like, dude, what are you talking about? My brain's been going all day since I got up at 4 o'clock. So, but some people are driven by that. Some of you got scared after even hearing me the last 60 seconds on what I said about mastery. Number 15, be the best. Break records. It's not necessarily mastery. I just want to break all the records. What's the record? I want to be the all-time selling person in my company. I want to break the record for this. I want to break the record for that. What are the records? Because I want to be the best. I want to be the leader of the decade. I want to be the MVP, you know, 4 or 5 years in a row. I want to be the best of the best. I want to be able to walk into a room with all my other peers from other companies and they say, oh my gosh, she's in the room. The best of the best. I want to break all those records. Who is it? Not everybody's in that category. You find one person like this, oh my goodness. Can you imagine what kind of a company you build? You give me a couple people like this, we can take over the world together. Purpose, last but not least, history. They're driven by history. I was in an interview recently with Matt Monero. Matt came over here. He's got his own podcast, and he asked me a question about creating content and all this other stuff. He said some really nice words about what we do on Valuetainment, you know. And then he said, so what is the purpose of Valuetainment? I said, listen, I can look at someone's eyes and I can listen to 3 of your videos and content, and I can tell if it's driven by money, lifestyle, all of that. And that's easy. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the concept of capitalism. You can make the money and get the things that you want. That's the lifestyle part. That's the power and fame, celebrity status type of deal. But then purpose, there's history. This outlives you when you die. I can name you 100 billionaires that you would never know because they're dead. I can name you many billionaires that no one knows, that they're dead. Why? Because what they did was purely money. It wasn't necessarily all history. See, this lives a long time, right? Some people are driven by history. Some people are driven by serving others. I want to help. How can I help? How can I help the community? What can we do to make money so we can take the money and give it to the community? What can we do to help this person become better? Honestly, let me tell you why I love working at this company here is because those 6 people, they're in their 20s. I'm 42. I remember when I was in my 20s, I want to serve them because I feel I can help them get to the next level. Serving others. No problem, Johnny. I want you to go and run this department because those 6 people are relying on you. If you know this, you know how to drive them. If you have somebody that's driven by history, you know how to speak to them. If you have somebody that's driven by change. What do you mean by driven by change? Mario and I were in my office earlier today, about an hour ago. I said, Mario, we're about to shoot this episode. He said, yes. I said, I want you to look at the painting in my office. And he looks at it. And he goes through it, one by one by one. I said, before we shoot this video, I want you to tell me what Tupac is driven by. What is MLK driven by? What's Milton Friedman driven by? What's the Shah of Iran driven by? What was he driven by? How about Senna? How about Lincoln? How about Kennedy? How about Einstein? What are they driven by? Tell Mario, well, you spend a lot of hours. Maybe what am I driven by? What are you driven by? And we're going through this, right? And the conversation comes, such and such person is driven by change. What does change mean? I want to change the climate. I want to change the way people view millennials. I want to change the way people view the Hispanic community. I want to change the way people view the African American. I want to change the way people view Middle Easterns. I want to change the way people view 16-year-old entrepreneurs. I want to change the way people see me in this company because the last company I was just a regular guy. I want to come in here and be somebody special. I want to change. I want to be part of change. That's some people. 19 is impact. I want to make an impact. How can I come and be an impact on this team? Be an impact in the community, be an impact in the state, be an impact in the nation, be an impact internationally. And last but not least, 20 is enlightenment. 2 different kinds of enlightenment we're talking about here. One is, how can I get myself to be more enlightened by getting information so I can help make better decisions? So I can help make better decisions with the team. So I can help become better at directing. The enlightenment could be somebody that gets analytics and says, hey, I looked at this and I've been studying this for the last 3 months. I noticed every Wednesdays we have a bad day, but on Fridays we do very well. And I looked at this last week that we're enlightened. I'm studying myself to see what's going on over here. So if you have somebody that's like that, give them the right books. Give them the right things to watch, to study. And all of a sudden they're going. Boom, they get it off to the races, right? But if you don't give them those things for them to have that click as you're speaking to them, they're not going to have that click. Once they do, that person can start performing and helping everybody else view things easier, make decisions smoother, and just say, oh, this makes sense. You're right, John. Yes, we're enlightened as a group together, right? So now, having said that, you got 20 points here. I'm giving you a PDF, so click on a link below to go to my website. It's either going to be in the comment section or it's going to be in the description section. If you don't see, just go to patrickbetdavid.com, type the same title, patrickbetdavid.com right here. Put on this title in the search, it'll take you to it. I want you to print out this PDF when you subscribe to our newsletters. When you print out this PDF, go through it with yourself on what drives you, okay? Rank the top 3. Then go through with the people that are you're leading and ask them and speak to them and see what they tell you. And once you have that, and you now have a list of 3, 5, 10 people in your organization and your staff, your executive, your salespeople on how to drive them, now you know how to drive everybody collectively. And at that point, remember how I said before, just like an athlete has to prepare themselves before they go into a game and to how to face the opponent, this is also for you to be able to put the team together properly where all of a sudden every cylinder is just going ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And you go from being a 4-cylinder engine to an 8-cylinder engine to a V12 running on 12 cylinders. It's very tough when you have 12 cylinders going simultaneously. It's tough to compete against a car like that, especially when the driver knows where they're going. Anything and everything you want within the bracket of you're in the industry you're in could pretty much be yours if you have some of these things being taken place. And by the way, keep this in mind. It's a lot of work. This isn't like, oh my gosh, I can just go figure it out. You're going to make so many mistakes with this until you figure this out. You're going to make so many mistakes with reading somebody else in a different way, but eventually intuition will come to you and you'll figure out a way how to get better at it. So having said that, questions, thoughts, comments, comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click on the subscribe button. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.